I also got a much clearer understanding of how the Electoral College came to be. I'd heard over many years that it had a lot to do with slavery, that it was granting slave states greater influence over picking the president, but that really doesn't hold up upon closer examination. The stuff I read, what I've seen is that it was more about how to pick the president. That there was this really big push and pull between having a popular vote to pick the president, having average people vote for the president, and having a more kind of esteemed elite group of people pick the president, like what the Electoral College created at the time. That was the big argument, that a lot of folks at the Constitutional Convention weren't comfortable with average people picking the president, and it was really difficult at that time when you think about the logistics of it. I've talked about this before, but I think it's worth mentioning again. If you were somebody in New Hampshire and somebody was running for the presidency from South Carolina, like Coatsworth Pinckney, let's say, who did run for the presidency, how the hell would you know anything as a person from New Hampshire about Charles Coatsworth Pinckney? You know, maybe you've heard of his name, but it's not like there were national papers back then when it was really hard to travel from one place to another. And that limited communication meant that people in different states wouldn't know much of anything about somebody who would run for a national office. So ultimately, the Constitutional Convention settled on the Electoral College as somewhat of a compromise between the popular vote and its influence over the presidency and elites who would presumably know the candidates a lot more intimately, a lot better, and be able to make a better decision as far as who should have the office.